You've got to have these seminal moments in your life. I'm a divorced father, I'm a stepfather, I'm a husband again. Now that your job is gone and probably not coming back, what do you do?
Welcome to the Just Life podcast. It is our hope that the gritty, real, and uncensored insights we share with you here will help you get your shit together as you explore and discover what it takes to living your best life on your terms. Episode 3 of a special series on purpose. What is it? How do you find yours? And this is all to lead up to an event that's up and coming called A Day on Purpose. With us, I have Richard Booker, who is the mastermind behind the event. Thanks for coming, Richard.
Thanks, David.
And then we have a guest, Ravin.
Ravin.
I like Ravin. It's kind of, no?
It could be your rap name? Yeah.
It could be a rap name,
It was my rap now.
All right, so
connotations of being made fun of as a kid.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll stick with Ravin then.
Okay.
Ravin Moorthy, thank you so much for being here. Ravin is he's on the panel, right? Or is he speaking?
He's on the panel, yes.
Yeah, he's on the panel. So you're going to share a little bit at A Day on Purpose about purpose,
yes,
and about your journey inside of purpose. And what this podcast is about is to really just get a behind the scenes kind of teaser, get a sense of who Ravin is, why is he so cool, what is it about. What was the challenge about finding and exploring to understand your purpose? What was that? And so we'll do a little bit of teaser, and I'll give Richard the mic here, and you guys have at her.
Okay, thanks, David. And thanks for doing this, Ravin. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So we were just talking about this, that we were both doing some stuff with CBC. So
yes,
Ravin, for our listeners, is on the unconventional panel, so listen to CBC Radio for that. And I was doing some work as the Get a Job guy with also at this same event.
That's right, yes.
And sort of became instant friends, as I recall, and we stayed in touch and have, as a result,
Yes.
had a number of conversations about purpose.
You're my downtown therapist.
Yeah, sort of the roving Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
We share the same hairline.
You and him.
Yeah, it's not you.
Yeah.
God, no. Certainly not. I'd trade that for a heartbeat. Anytime you want to, just let me know.
I think you just got to wipe it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just sport my style.
Yeah, I've had a few people recommend that, but I'm not sure. At any rate, I recall having some conversations with you about that, which is why I thought you would be an incredible addition to this panel that we're going to start our day with. Because from what you've shared with me about your own personal journey and figuring out, that second of two questions that Mark Twain talks about, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born, the second is the day you figure out why. So that's what the Day on Purpose is, that second piece. And you've been sort of ruminating about that in our conversations
Yes,
over the time we've known each other. I wonder if you'd be comfortable talking a little bit about what that's been like for you, that figuring it out.
Spending time with you or figuring it out? Yeah.
The latter.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Figuring it out, it has been easy to go through that process by talking to you, and I'm not, because this is your thing, that I'm not just complimenting you, but I think it's been a struggle. It's been a journey. You talked about being the Get a Job guy, and I think that was really a catalyst. You've got to have these seminal moments in your life. For me, there's obviously the day you were born. I'm a divorced father. I'm a stepfather. I'm a husband again. I've got a lot of balls in the air. And then you layer on that in this space in the Calgary area, the economy and how we met.
Yeah.
Essentially, we met because you were counseling people through, now that your job is gone and probably not coming back, what do you do?
Right.
So it was very easy for me to gravitate towards those conversations and appreciate that. Some of us were able to land and luckily are very quickly on our feet. But the scale and the magnitude of what's happened here has given, I think, me definitely cause to say, well, what are we really doing here? What is the purpose? Mm-hmm. Did we just come here and people have descended upon this city at the base of the mountains to do what exactly? Extract hydrocarbons from the ground and then do what? So I think it's given me cause to think and grow amazingly in the last 5 years around that. And who do I want to be, and what's the legacy I want to leave behind when I'm done? So
it's an interesting question, because when you ask that fundamental, like, what are we really here for? What is that? Is this it? Like extracting hydrocarbons from the earth and then transmitting it to someplace else?
Well, not always.
Well, no, of course.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation. So then how on Monday morning do you get up and go do that?
So I'm in a different job now, funnily enough, but still in the business. But I think the important thing for me is that kind of seminal series of moments, I guess, that led to what we'll call the commodity price crash, has led me to sort of look and go, okay, well, what do I do? And one of the things that I thought you were great at extracting out of me, what are the other things that I can do? Okay, sure, I know how to build the Lego in order to do this. And I think there's a lot of people in town, in this industry, worldwide, that can build a Lego. So it caused me to reflect and go, well, what are the difference makers about me? And that's the thing that I like to think that people don't necessarily see. We all think we're not good enough.
Right.
And if I look at the group that you have assembled for this day on purpose, I feel hugely out of my depth.
Really?
I feel like, wow, there's some impressive people who have gone through some pretty cool things and come out the other side and are better for it. And when I listened to some of the earlier episodes of this podcast, or episode 1 related to this, I'm like, wow, there's some people out there, and there's some people out there, getting their shit together.
Yeah.
And
there's some people right here. I'm talking to one of them. For the record.
But I think that's the thing. We don't know what we're capable of until we're pushed, and it's kind of like, it's a cool thing about humans because some animals in the wild, they'll just roll over and be like, all right, there's the lion. I'm done.
Right.
So it's a cool thing about humans, but I think one of the worst parts about humans is we fail to see our potential unless we hit adversity.
Right.
Which is kind of it sounds like a little bit of a genetic defect, I think,
Well, you're right, because it's one of the things that led me to write a book about it, and certainly to host this day, because there's so many people that are now forced into the situation of having to come up with this big answer. My desire to have you part of this day was the thoughtfulness you bring to this, and you're not chicken about it. Like you're not skipping stones across a pond. The conversations we've had. I can't
do that, just so you know.
Well,
I can teach you how to do that.
Yeah. Me too. Actually, I'm pretty good, and some big sizable ones too, if you want. But you're not running away or asking just surface questions. You're really peeling back the layers in all of our conversations, and we'll get into more of that on the day. But so for me, what you were sharing resonates so much with pieces of conversations I've had with other people, and some of whom I allude to in my book, and I'm sure some of the people will be in the room who are going to identify with, I know what that feels like, and boy, I've felt that before, and that question is one I have right now. Yeah. So in the midst of all of that, you keep chugging along. And most often I see a smile on your face, just like right now. Okay. And not necessarily having all the answers. So how do you do that?
So you're not gonna forget them. But I think so. I'm 43 years old, and I think that puts us at a very interesting demographic. I wouldn't know exactly what that number is, but the previous generation, when I look at my parents, I think there was a plan for them, right? It's get some kind of education or trade or whatever it is, and go out, do that, have a job, have 2.5 kids, get a car, get a house. You have to buy a house because home ownership is very important. Yep. We do all those things, and then you have these 2.5 kids. I'm a family of 3, so my parents were slightly more ambitious, I think. But so there was a plan for them. And I think there was a plan for us too, which was essentially replicate that, but be better and be more peaceful and have, take use of technology. And all of a sudden, things just exploded on us. And our place in this world has suddenly shrank, and we've got to reinvent ourselves as a generation and understand that purpose. So that's really what keeps me going, is that we've got to figure out, the younger generation is coming up, as you can see, with all the things that are happening around the economy, around climate. They are having their voice heard at 14, 15, 16. We would never dare have our voice heard at 14, 15, 16. So when I look at that, it's like we're on this constant journey here, and some days it feels like a battle. Some days it's awesome. Some days you're in a room with like-minded people and you're having a laugh and you're thinking, life's not that bad. We're all on this lovely voyage together. You said something in one of the previous episodes about being in an LRT car that gets lifted up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, so some days when you're in that car and it's everybody that's in your boat, and you're kind of like, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
And I'm not crazy. And then some days you get in front of people and you're like, wow, I'm totally lost. So the long answer to your question is, that's the adventure though, isn't it? Like, if life were boring, right? I think we'd probably have a lot of better things, but then it wouldn't necessarily be for us. Right.
And as the title of the book says, it's enough to be on your way.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The excitement is in the discovery. Because to your point, if we would actually have it all laid out for us, and then we would just follow those steps, much like it was done with our parents. Well, now we're waiting for something. It wouldn't be enough. We'd be waiting for something else now to show up and provide that measure of meaning and fulfillment. And it is unfortunate that it has to be the challenge, the struggle. But I got it created for me a while back. We actually don't know what we want until we are clear what we don't want. The problem is most people go belly up and say, oh, okay, I guess this is just what I got. But that's not the point. The point of it was to understand that that's not what you want. So go explore over here. Don't roll over. And this is the thing that is unfortunate for most people, is they just don't realize, they don't even know it's an option. That part blows my mind on a daily basis, but that's the game.
It brings to mind, there's a book that I read as formation for the book that I wrote, and it's by Parker Palmer, and I can't remember the name of it, but any one of us could read it in probably less than an hour. And he was a Quaker, or is a Quaker by faith tradition. I don't know anything about Quaker, but they have this expression, way open, way closed. Our expression in Western culture is one door closes, another one opens, which we're all familiar with. And it's a little bit about what you're talking about, David. And so Parker went before the team of elders, which you can do if you're a Quaker when you're lost. And there's a panel of 8 of them or something, and he was saying to the elder that I just don't know which way to go. All these doors keep closing in my face, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so the elder spoke up and said, in my whole life, never once has way opened for me, but often way has closed. And then she smiled. What she was saying really was that a closed door in front of you has the same effect as an open door. But in Western culture, we routinely stand in front of the closed door, berating and bemoaning the fact that the door is closed in front of us, and don't turn 180 degrees to see this vast expanse of possibility that's in front of us, now that we've simply changed our perspective.
We are fascinating and ridiculously irritating creatures of habit.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. Which allows some of us to aspire for greatness and to set themselves apart.
Yeah.
Which I think in itself is wonderful. And that's, seems to be a push for all sorts of equality all over the globe. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't. But on principle, the fact that we are all individuals, we all are here to serve a different purpose, is the important thing, right? Like, we're not all here to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things that is wholly missing as a conversation, people my age, is that just because you didn't do A or B or C, it doesn't mean that E, F, and G are not valuable.
Yeah.
Right? And it's finding your purpose, I always equate to finding your own self-worth and value. Because if you're happy with whatever you've achieved, then you've achieved your own version of greatness. And it's not for other people to look and go, oh, Richard's an author. I wish I was an author. But if you look truly inside yourself, would you ever really spend time writing a book? Like, I sure as heck wouldn't. But I love the fact that you did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I know an author, so that makes me sound cool.
Totally.
Right?
Okay.
Well, we're all cooler for it, right? As a result.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we do that, right? And in this world of social media, it's now front and center all the time, and so we feel like we should have that thing over there because they have it, and it seems kind of interesting. But not knowing anything about it, not understanding what's involved to achieve it, and not actually doing anything about it either is the key piece. So if you really want something, you're going to take the action to continue down that path, uncertain of where it's going to take you, but you take the action. The problem with most people is, much like the door, we're like wanting our finished book to like fall in our lap.
Yeah.
But that's not the game.
That's absolutely not. And I think one of the things I can say with certainty about being a parent is that is the thing that I'm most conscious of, is that the pressure of social media. But I think social media can be wonderful even in these kind of things that we would
It's powerful.
Silly. It is very powerful. But if you look at a guy like Floyd Mayweather, who sits there and poses with his money all the time, people are like, oh, I wish I had that much money. Sure. But were you also willing to be poor, to be homeless, to be beaten up all the time, to go and train in the gym, to do what he does? So him and I are never going to be buddies. I got a lot of things I don't like about him. But like anybody, any actor, anybody famous, any celebrity who's got something, there was some work involved. I realize the Instagram model argument may be a little bit slim, but it causes, as long as people are caused to understand that nothing is going to fall in your lap, as you said, right? If you think about how many hours you spent writing that book, right? You put in, nobody sits down and writes a book in 10 minutes and is a bestseller, right?
Right.
So how much effort you put into that, that's the important part. That was the journey.
Yes.
Whether I like the book, Dave likes the book, who cares, right? It was, you did it because you felt that was your purpose to put that out there, right? And if you look at the number of people that will be helped, even incrementally, by spending these times with you, like I think about myself, and how many people I think I've said, you better go talk to Richard, right? Just for those 15 or 30 minutes that we spent having a coffee, that means, how much you've changed that person's day or the course of their life just by doing what you feel is finding your purpose, right? Yeah. So I actually think what you've done in the last 3 to 4 years has probably meant more to people than probably what you did up until then.
Oh, thank you.
Well, as long as you take it as a compliment.
I do.
But getting out of the corporate environment and doing what you've done, you're helping people change themselves, right? And that's one of those little sayings, right? All these little things will eventually change the world, right?
Yeah.
So. Well said.
Cool.
Damn, it's like he almost knows what he's talking about. Well, that was great. So that's where we're gonna put it at, because I'm clear I could open this dialogue even more, and you'd just go off on a tangent. And it would be a really good tangent.
That's a good thing, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
It is a good thing, and we're going to save that for a day on purpose.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for spending the time, for making the time to come out here and jam with us on the mics. A Day on Purpose is coming here in Calgary. It's bringing together a fantastic community of speakers and presenters, people like you and me at various stages of uncovering their own purpose. It will be a day of stories and discovery that will work to make a very high level and at times hard to understand topic relatable and uncomplicated. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss this insight.